Welcome, music enthusiasts, to Harmony Education, the podcast where we explore the transformative power of music in the realm of education. I'm Evan.
And I'm Colton.
And together we are your hosts, two passionate music educators on a mission to bring the joy of music into the lives of students and educators alike. Whether you're a teacher looking for innovative ways to integrate music into your curriculum, or a parent seeking to nurture your child's musical development, this podcast is your guide to unlocking the endless possibilities that music education holds.
So what you just heard was a little clip from A Mother of Revolution, which is a piece written by Black composer Omar Thomas. It's about Martha P. Johnson, who was the leader of one of the leaders in the revolution in the LGBTQ community, and he wrote this piece specifically about her with specific themes that play into each other, that represent that revolution and the hardship that they went through. Omar Thomas is a composer that does a lot of this music that gears itself towards minority groups and the struggles they went through. He has a piece for big band, which is about the LGBTQ population.
Let's see if we can find that real quick.
Yeah, the song is called We Will Know, and he wrote this because he didn't feel that the LGBTQ community had an anthem. Like there's the Black anthem that he uses in A Mother of Revolution, but he didn't feel that the LGBTQ community had an anthem like that. So he wrote that because it is a song that plays into those pieces, and it's a beautiful song that uses a singer. It's got a whole big band with it.
You know, I actually had the opportunity to see that piece performed.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
Where was that?
It was at the Pioneer Center in Rio, Nevada.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Why were you out there?
I don't know. It's almost like we were there for a concert together.
Oh, I was there. I remember that. I forgot about that.
So actually,
we performed Mother of Revolution there.
We performed that song.
And as well as Of Our New Day Begun, which
Yes.
he wrote about the bombing or the
mass shooting.
Yeah, mass shooting of a church.
Charleston.
I believe it was in Charleston.
One of the Carolinas.
That's a powerful song. I cried while we were performing that.
It was very tough.
Yeah.
Especially because it was. Yeah. Tell me a little more about Mother of Revolution, as I find.
Well, I just talked about Mother of Revolution. About Of Our New Day Begun.
Of Our New Day Begun.
Yeah, Of Our New Day Begun. That piece he wrote it about and for the church in Charleston.
I found it. It's written to honor 9 beautiful souls who lost their lives to an act of domestic terrorism in 2015 in Charleston, South Carolina.
Yeah.
South Carolina. Not South California.
South California. Charleston, South Carolina. Yeah, and so in that piece, when I got the opportunity to work with him, in that piece he said that he wrote it to really evoke feelings. The entire middle section of that piece is to evoke just hatred and to make your blood boil.
I remember him talking a lot about feelings of uncomfortability.
Yeah.
And the rage of somebody expressing hatred towards that kind of act. Yeah.
Yeah, the feelings that these poor families had going through the act of hatred and specifically shooting up this Black church. And so there's a lot of integration of the Black church music in that piece too.
Yeah, he's just one of the good examples of a modern composer who represents a minority community.
Yeah,
but
does it in a lot of different.
Does it in a lot of different ways, but that all minorities, especially racialized minorities, have faced a lot of scrutiny in the world of music forever.
Oh yeah,
and we didn't really see a lot of upbringing of Black composers specifically in what we deem the classical world of music until the mid 1900s.
Yeah, or later.
With guys like William Grant Still and his an Afro-American symphony.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, racialized communities really got the short end of the stick for a long time, and still are.
Yeah, even to this day, they're I can think of 2, maybe 3 Black composers.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe not even 3.
Yeah.
But how many white composers could you name from just from the 19th century?
Yeah. A lot.
Probably 10, 15. And that's just in the band realm, let alone other realms of music as well. So
choir
and the same thing goes for female composers.
Yeah.
Maybe they're a little more prevalent now, but
yeah, female composers also got not a lot of recognition throughout all of history. Still aren't getting a lot of recognition put down all the time. One that a lot of us know, Clara Schumann, really only gained a lot of popularity because she was married to another composer.
Yeah.
And came from a big family background of music itself, and that was mid 1800s. But
That's
even then,
definitely
a lot of people can't name her out like we can Bach, Beethoven, Mozart,
Yeah.
Haydn. List goes on.
Yeah.
You know.
Liszt.
Yeah,
goes on.
Liszt.
Yeah, Liszt. But yeah, and that's the only that is the only female composer we learned about in our music history classes.
Yeah, except
in
for
college.
like way back when, like Hildegard von Bingen,
Yes,
who was
Hildegard,
like 900 AD,
yeah.
and that was a big. She took up a lot of space in the what's that word? Church music.
Yeah.
But even then, people thought she was insane.
Yeah.
She had visions and all these things, so she wasn't necessarily considered as great as some of the men composers at the same time until recent history when she got deemed a saint.
Yeah. It's luckily in today's world we've looked back on those composers and realized, oh, this person was not crazy.
Yeah, and there's
they're
also
talented.
There's also the whole thing of like good female composers, good black composers, good Mexican composers, anyone have always existed, but just not necessarily had the opportunity to be lifted up in the same way that your old dead white male composers have been.
Yeah, and that's something when searching for music as a music educator, you want to make sure you realize, no, you don't have to go find a piece by a female composer just to play a piece by a female composer.
Yeah.
But there are great female composer pieces out there
that you just might not have heard of.
You just can't. It's a lot harder to find because it's so dominated by white male realm.
Yeah.
And so, it's not necessarily that you have to specifically search for it. You just have to realize and have that lens and that framework that most of what you're looking at is by white men.
Yeah, I was doing a lot of reading up on this the other day, and I read an article about specifically Australian women composers, so a real niche group of people.
Yeah.
And it talked a lot about specifically piano and voice repertoire and how students choosing their own repertoire, especially at an early stage in their musicianhood,
high school,
is done by their teacher.
Yeah.
So you don't really get the opportunity to pick the pieces you want to do a lot of the time, and you're just given what is good music, and that good music just happens to be always from white men.
Not that there isn't good music from others,
but all the music they are performing is good, but it's just all by white dudes. And in this study, only I want to say around 10 to 11% of all of the works performed at this festival of piano and voice stuff was by women composers. So 10%.
When 50% of the population.
Yeah.
Is more.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy.
Yeah. And I mean, in the music realm, the underrepresentation of women that we see, especially in the band world.
Yes.
That being my primary world,
choir being mine.
And I'm a percussionist. I'm a drummer.
Yeah. All dudes.
In the drum line at UNR, we have one girl, two girls maybe out of the 25 of us.
Yeah.
And that's how drumming is, and it has to do with the stereotypes that we associate. But all the clarinet and flute players
are gonna be girls.
Most
maybe a couple saxophones.
Yeah. But it really, there is a gender aspect of music, and let alone choir is always searching for dudes, because choir is always dominated
kind of the opposite.
Dominated
but even
by
then,
females.
But even then, in the choir world, there's a lot of very outspoken, loud minority in the men just kind of making decisions in the higher up part of the choir world.
Yeah,
which
a lot
is
of
really interesting.
male teachers.
A lot of male teachers.
Even though most of the actual choirs are female.
Yeah.
But so why is it the male teachers that get the opportunity to keep going?
Always presented with the opportunities. Yeah, going back to women composers real quick. I was also reading something up on this study that the Baltimore Symphony did, and they went through a bunch of the pieces that were performed through like their concert programming, and I've got it pulled up here. Fewer than 2% of the pieces performed and 14% of the pieces by living composers were composed by women. So 2%.
2%.
2%.
14% of living, which shows that it's getting better.
Yeah. Yeah. And then I guess that is true. It is getting better, but there's still
a long way to go.
There's still a long way to go,
Oh,
and
yeah.
it's only in recent history that research has been done on this whole thing of women in music. Same study. What does this say? Over these 16 years of program collected, 239 band concerts were offered, with 2,251 pieces performed. 67 of those pieces were composed by women out of 2,251.
Yeah.
Just gotta drop that.
That's not a good number.
No, that's not a good number. And like even beyond that is just in the professional world of like being a performer, like we said, choir is very often dominated by women and females, but especially in the band world and also in the orchestra world, it is it's not great.
Yeah, no.
Not a lot of women,
not at all.
and especially not a women like in a position of leadership or like power.
Yeah. If there is a lot of women, they're not
Yeah.
in charge.
And that just goes back to like in history, like women stay at home, take care of kids, do the family life. Men go do hard work, and eventually men go be creative.
Yeah. Whereas women, no, don't be creative. Stay
Stay
at home,
home.
do the thing.
Yeah. Women were always inferior in the arts until recent history, realistically.
Yeah, like you think of romantic artists, like the Ninja Turtles, you know? There's no female Ninja Turtles,
Yeah.
you know? Like, even in art, like,
yeah.
in music.
The Berlin Phil,
Mm-hmm.
one of the best orchestras in the world,
Biggest orchestras.
if not the best, but like definitely top 3 easy.
Oh yeah, easily.
Critically acclaimed for the whole time it's been there.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't start accepting women into the orchestra at all. Like no women.
Yeah.
Like women would audition and they'd be like, no, we don't take women in this orchestra.
Yeah, not even
Until
having to
like
do what they're playing.
mid 1980s.
1980. That's after most
So that's
of the
like
civil rights
that's
stuff.
like 45 years ago.
Yeah, that's like twice as old as we are.
Yeah. Like my parents were older than that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah, best orchestras in the world were very patriarchal until recent history.
Yeah, so I mean that goes to show professional musicians, like especially classical realm, but even outside of the classical realm.
Yeah. Like all music industry jobs.
All music, like female artists is a thing.
Yeah.
Female composers, female artists, female musicians, like it's still a topic that even in the pop world, like there's not as many girls as there is guys.
Mm-hmm. And especially with like I said earlier, with women in positions of power and leadership, like as professional musicians, like as conductors.
Mm-hmm. Oh, conductors? Yeah, no.
I've never seen a professional female conductor before until the Reno Phil.
Reno Phil. I was gonna say the
and
only
she
thing is the Reno
literally
Phil.
just recently got there.
Laura
Her name's
Jackson.
Laura Jackson.
Yeah, Laura Jackson.
She's been there for, let's find out.
But like in our conducting classes in college, we have a great conducting teacher who has been around the country conducting.
Yeah.
And he talks about conductors he meets all the time. And Laura Jackson is the only girl he's ever talked about.
And I don't want to throw him under the bus, but he doesn't talk greatly of her all the time.
Yeah.
He highly appreciates her, but also he does critique everyone. He talks about
critiques
pretty much.
everyone, but it's a lot harder as a female in any realm, but especially as a conductor to get a position.
Yeah.
Like, and it's purely at this point just because of being a female.
Yeah.
Like you just don't have the opportunities. Our entire conducting class is men.
Yeah.
And last semester there was one
and she was
girl,
a
vocalist
major. Yeah.
and a performance major.
She wasn't even trying to be a teacher or anything.
So
I can't find out when she started.
But
whatever.
it was relatively recently. It was
it was relatively
5
recent.
years for sure.
That's the first time I've ever heard of like a professional orchestra director.
Yeah.
As a woman. Yeah, no, it's kind of crazy.
That is crazy.
But then, still with performers, like just like the musicians in the ensemble,
Mm-hmm.
even though there is a higher, like it's increasing the amount of women in as ensemble members,
Yeah.
there's still like a dilemma there with like the standard they're often
There's
held
still
to,
a thing, yeah.
because you're kind of still looked at as inferior most of the time, unless you're in the choir realm.
Yeah, and it's weird to say that because
Yeah.
we work so hard on like
Yeah.
feminism as a culture right now. However, in the music world, it's behind.
Yeah, it's behind. It's
problem.
definitely on the up and up, but
yeah.
it's still kind of lacking. And also, like, when you're learning from your professors, like the people that they're like, oh, go listen to this person. It's gonna be a dude.
This dude. Yeah.
It's gonna be a dude. And oftentimes, like I've heard this before, where it's like they don't, especially with string players,
Mm-hmm.
almost never idolize a woman unless you're a violin player.
Yeah.
And even then, they will describe that violin master as being like have masculine playing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just kind of weird.
Yeah, that's definitely, that really like shows in the professional realm. But going back a little bit to the teaching realm of it, like the like crossover of the issue of the majority of teachers, especially in elementary teaching, are female, right?
Yeah.
Because that goes back to like the 50s and like
Yeah.
the
Go take care of the kids.
take care of the
Yeah.
kids. Essentially, yeah. But the interesting thing is, in my practicum classes for elementary school, the music teacher was a man.
Yeah.
He was the only male teacher in the entire
School?
school. Yeah. In the entire school, he was the only male teacher, and he was the music teacher. Which, I guess it's a good thing that it's not entirely run by women.
Yeah.
Not.
Yeah, but like
not in
there's
that
like
way.
equal representation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But like, it's interesting that it's the music teacher. That's like what
Yeah.
our
Because
realm shows.
well, and the other thing is like us growing up in the same place.
Yeah.
All of my music teachers in
Well-
my primary and secondary education, except for my first band teacher, so I had him for 1 year.
Mm-hmm. Were women.
They were all women.
Yeah, all of mine were too. And so I thought, like, teachers, like, music teachers were predominantly women. That's what I thought.
Yeah. And then we got
Coming
up
up
to the
here-
university. It's literally all dudes.
It's all dudes, except
Unless-
for choir.
Except for choir. Except for the vocal coaches
It
and
really
vocal
shows the
instructors.
stereotypes.
But even then, like, there's studies where, like,
Mm-hmm.
in the music education realm, where women are actually the majority of the teachers. So I want to say it's like 55, 57%.
Yeah.
And so it's like, that's pretty equal. However, in like journals and articles where they're talking about music teachers,
Mhm.
it's always pictures of dudes. So it's just like,
Yeah.
it's not realistic to what happens in the real world.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, they're just underrepresented, and I don't want to say it's like subconsciously implementing stuff that means a woman can't be a music teacher, but there's totally like social cues where it could
Oh,
be like
yeah,
that.
definitely. And, like, I mean, just looking at that, approximately 50%,
Mhm.
you said, like, it's 50-50 in the
Yeah.
teaching realm. That's great. However, when you look at that compared to other teachers, and you look at that compared to other musicians,
Yeah.
like, teaching is predominantly female.
Yeah.
Musicians are predominantly male, at least the
Yeah.
ones that are represented. So, sure, it evens out in the middle at music teacher, but that doesn't solve the problem.
Yeah, and,
you know?
and even if it does even out, it's not equally represented.
Mhm.
I want to go back to female composers, because I had the opportunity like 2 years ago where my instructor was like, all right, this semester everyone's getting a piece by a female composer. She was like, because she's my vocal coach, she's
Yeah.
a female because I exist in the
Just
vocal
vocal
world, so
world.
that's the stereotype. And so I was like, okay, cool. And I got to sing, I want to say like 2 or 3 things by female composers actually.
Mhm.
And it's really like engaging music.
Yeah,
But I
it's-
had never heard of these composers before.
Yeah.
And even then I didn't really dive into it.
Yeah. It's
So
not
just like
it's-
minoritized groups as composers is still such a huge issue.
composers, educators, performers, any realm.
Yeah.
Any minoritized group.
Any
too.
minoritized group. And like we can go back to composers of like color too.
Yeah.
We talked about Black and like African American composers real
Yeah.
quick, but we didn't talk about like Hispanic, Latin composers,
Yeah,
or like
any other
any representation of like Southeast Asian, because that's something we just don't learn about.
Well, it provides the issue of Western music. We study
Yeah.
Western music.
Yeah.
So there's definitely crossover to other types of music, but we read Western notation.
Yeah.
We don't like learn in the same way that someone from India would learn.
Yeah.
Or someone from anywhere in Asia, or really any of the rest
Yeah,
of the world
pretty
other
much
than
anywhere else.
Europe and America. So like the intersections of those types of music can be really, really cool. I mean,
Yeah.
even if you look at jazz, which is something that's common in schools.
Mhm.
Jazz is based on Black culture originally. in
Yeah,
America. Not African culture, but Black culture,
Mhm.
and like originally slave music
Yeah.
being brought, especially into New York, like that is jazz music.
Yeah.
But then we incorporate this Latin part into it.
Mhm.
And so jazz music also goes hand in hand with Latin music, which already feels a little like you're just kind of grouping Black and Latin
Yeah.
into the
It's
same area.
Black and brown people just.
Yeah, exactly, which is a problem. However, it does at least provide like a way to get into the Latin stuff.
Yeah.
And however, we're reading like music. Like you're reading
Yeah.
music. That's not how it works, you know?
Yeah.
Like music in Brazil, samba,
Yeah.
is passed down. It's not like anyone has it written.
Yeah.
It's passed down generations over generations, which is
Yeah.
really cool. There's groups who do that, but it's not typical in normal education.
Yeah, and like with the passing down thing, when we were in choir in high school,
Mm-hmm.
one of my section members, I guess we'll keep him anonymous.
Yeah.
His name was John.
It's fine. We
He was a native Spanish speaker.
Yeah.
And so, he was bilingual. I guess he's a native Spanish and a native English speaker.
Yeah.
But-
He's a bilingual student.
We did a song. I don't remember what it was called.
Carnavalito.
Carna-
right?
Carnavalito.
The Spanish. Yeah.
And I know we probably just said that with the most white inflection
Yeah.
ever. But our director, who was just a white woman, from
yeah.
Montana, was like,
Yeah.
I'm not gonna try to teach you Spanish.
Yeah.
And so because we had a native Spanish speaker in our class,
She asked him.
She
It's
asked
not like
him.
She told him.
yeah,
She
asked him, and he was like, would you be comfortable doing this? And he was like, yeah. And so we all got to learn like the correct way to speak this language and sing it at the same time,
Yeah.
with like all the correct inflections from this specific area
Yeah.
in
Yeah.
Mexico that like it was based off of.
And
He-
like.
He did the same thing the year after too.
Yeah, and he did that research, or he knew it personally.
Yeah, I think he just knew it.
And the directors allowed that, like,
Yeah.
and understood it, and it was a good experience for everyone.
Yeah,
like,
for sure.
to be able to learn that in not a like white person to white person
Yeah.
person realm. But
And then like, what else did we do like that?
I mean, there's a lot of different like choir. The great thing about choir is you sing in a lot of different languages.
Yeah.
Now, mostly it's like the main four.
Yeah, like romantic or German languages.
Romantic or German languages. However, it does give like
Germanic.
we sang a piece called Wana Baraka, which was in Swahili.
Yeah.
We sang a piece, can't remember what it was called, but it was in Arabic. And when that happened,
Yeah, I remember how it goes.
yeah, I can't remember the name of it, but I remember how it goes. But-
Mama.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
But the cool thing about that, it was by an Arabic composer, and we had someone who had studied Arabic. I believe he was
Mama
Arabic.
Bada Yatafana.
We had someone who studied Arabic. I think he was Arabic.
Mm-hmm.
Came in and taught us the pronunciations. So as a white teacher, you can still do things
Yeah.
to be
To
inclusive
represent,
and represent the whole group.
Yeah, to represent other cultures, especially of other music, which is what we're
Yeah.
talking about.
Okay, I think that's a good note to end it
I think
on.
that's all the time we have for today.
Yeah, I think it is.
So,
Thank you for joining us on the Harmony in Education podcast. I hope you join us again next week, and I'll see you later.
okay, play that outro music.
Oh, I gotta play the outro. Our producer Kyle, we gotta get rid of that guy.